And away we go. Good morning, KW Prosperity. It is Wednesday, June 10th, and here we are. Mary Beth and I are back at it again. We took 2 days for Spring Masterminds, which was very impactful, and maybe, Mary Beth, a good way to start this call before we start diving back into the MREA would be to maybe share an aha or two that we had from Spring Masterminds.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, so I would say for me, the one aha that I had that came up on Monday through the agent masterminds and then yesterday through the leadership masterminds is leveraging and utilizing the lead accelerator through the Facebook campaign section of KW Command. Like literally, I think every conversation, whether it was luxury, whether it was the database, recruiting agents, whether it was the masterminds I was in yesterday, everyone is using them at a high level where for $25, $30, they're getting a really good return on their investment.
Yeah. Even I was going to say, there was a session about building the big business, and even in that, they discussed that. So there was that common thread. I was going to say leverage was the word that I heard over and over and over again, and systems and models. And so that really ties into the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, because that is our systems and models book.
Yep.
So my favorite part of masterminds is always the second day, which is when you get to break out into your groups and mastermind with, people that are in positions that are similar to yours or yours, and they're in a similar growth point in the market center. So it was awesome because we had Mark King leading ours. So that was great. And he even said it, and I completely agree. He has been leading masterminds for years. And we had the most engagement and almost like the best conversations that I've ever experienced inside of the masterminds that we have every year, twice a year. I don't know if it was because we were forced to engage less distractions because we weren't sitting at a round table in a convention center that, maybe we had to go to the bathroom, maybe we had to go get a coffee, right? Or maybe we saw our friend in the back that we haven't seen in a while, and then you get stuck talking. In this situation, we were broken out into rooms. We had, say 8, 9 people in our group, and we just came up with super great ideas. So the two things that we really discussed were smart plans, leveraging your touch systems through your technology, and really thinking things through to say, and this goes back to when we were doing systematizing your business and doing an operations manual a few weeks back. But it really goes into doing like a deep dive with yourself to say, when I meet a client, how do I want them to experience my touch system, my follow-up system? And so then that's almost more important, I'm finding, than even once I have them and they've signed with me, how do I provide them value to my customer? That's easy because you're servicing the transaction at that point. Yet the biggest challenge for the agents is to get to that point, to cultivate the customer, to raise their hands and commit to working through contracts. So that cultivation, the follow-up, the reminder, we've been doing it here, we've been doing it on paper. Now we have systems that can tell us when to call people. It can send out emails for us, which that's been around, but really take a deep dive into your systems and how your customer experience will be from the time you meet somebody till the time that they are potentially a seller or buyer and really want to know about the process of selling their home or the process of purchasing a home. Up until then, it's really a lead generation game, and it's a build your database, right? Database, data bank. It's just add people to that database until you get to the opportunity to work with them. But people forget that the game is getting somebody from, hi, how are you, to, oh, I get your stuff all the time. And of course, if I ever needed real estate, I'd work through you. So That was a really heavy conversation of just so many different ways that we can use automated touch systems.
Mhm.
As to your point, if you're with Keller Williams, command is going to be your solution for everything. If you're not with Keller Williams, you definitely do have some tools that you can add on to ensure that you have a completely leveraged system to follow up with people.
Well, absolutely.
But
And one of the words that you said there, and I was on a call with, or I was listening to Nick Baldwin the other day, and he said one of the single best features in the command portal is the cultivate section in the opportunities tab. And you used the word cultivate before. I think that's a huge word that people need to realize, that you need to cultivate these relationships. And our command platform will tell you, hey, you haven't reached out to this person in 60 days, or you haven't made a touch with this person. So to your point, it's developing those smart plans, it's cultivating those relationships to then convert them into appointments and business.
so, when we think about it, we talk about the sower, the harvest, the reaper and the sower. And if you were planting a plant and you were expecting it to give you the most fruit possible, you're planting a tree, right? An apple tree. You want the most amount of apples and you want the most delicious apples.
Yep.
Because there'll be a chance that you get a tree with a lot of apples that really are not very sweet, or they're rotting, or they're quick life. There's a chance that you have a tree that has no apples. There's a chance that the tree never grows. So what do? You're not just going out there and watering it. You're monitoring it. You're like, well, does it need Miracle Grow this weekend?
Yeah.
I think it's getting too much sun. Let's put it in the shade a little. Can we build? So you're like really monitoring the growth of a plant, a vegetable, so that you could get the most delicious, abundant, harvest.
Yeah.
It's really the same thing, cultivating. So you're cultivating the crops, you're cultivating the clients. And that means that, Matt, you may not need to sell a home because you don't own a home, right? Not yet.
Yeah. Soon.
So if I'm going to be targeting you and saying, sell your home, do you know what your home's worth?
Yeah.
That's not going to resonate. You're not going to relate to that.
Absolutely.
I have to know where you're at. I have to tag you and put you in a certain group. You are a first-time home buyer. We're going to, here's your plan. And so then there'll be pertinent information that you're going to see value, that I will cultivate a relationship with you because I'm giving you resources, items of value. So I guess to this point is, Keller Williams gives you the ability to create many different smart plans. You can create unlimited, so you can think about all the different types of clients that you do work with, and create a plan for each of them. So that was one thing that we talked about. The other one was the opportunities right now. Yeah. And guys, this is a little bit of a higher level conversation, in that if you are an independent brokerage out there, if you are, if you're a mega agent and you're not with Keller Williams, there's a lot of opportunities for you to keep your identity, keep who you are, where you work, what you do for your clients, and affiliate with the largest brand in the world, and affiliate with the best network of agents in the world, and affiliate with the most results-driven training program in the world in real estate, and the most effective coaching arm in the real estate industry. And so there's absolutely a way, different than any other time, because I've been team leading for 12 years. So different than any other time, there is a way right now that mega agent or that independent brokerage that may not just have the tools, they may not have the access to the tools like a large franchise might. There's a way that you can hitch on to us and also have some major opportunity on profits out of your location. So we mastermind that. And I would just encourage, if you're somebody out there and you're thinking about what that means, and you think it might have just been a call for you, well, reach out to me so that we can talk about what your opportunities are.
Yeah, and I mean, the last thing I'm going to say on that is, who's in your world? Like, if you're out here watching, like, who are the 5 people that you spend the most
Yeah.
time with? Who are the people that are in your world? Because, to your point, these are higher level conversations. And, you know, if you want to grow to that next level and really expand your world and expand your business, who are the people in your world that are either helping you get to that next stage or possibly holding you back from getting to that next stage? So who are those conversations? Who are the people and what conversations are they having around you?
And once again, I'll just say, as I said, even in my mastermind group, shout out to Ben Kinney, Chad Hyams, and Bob for Win Make Give, because Win Make Give podcast, Facebook group, the lessons. We're in the wealth series right now.
Yep.
Fabulous conversation. And how I know I have the right people in my circle is without even telling them to do that. We're talking those conversations. And I'm like, are you on the Win Make Give podcast? They're like, yeah. So we know from Bold, and we know from life too, that you grow into the conversations that are being held around you. And so I would say that is a great checking point of, hey, who am I hanging with?
Yep.
Fitness wise, spiritual wise, business wise, financial.
Yep.
Financial. I know I also shared I'm in the Dave Ramsey Financial Piece.
Yep.
That is really important to get all of your house in order as far as how you're treating your money. As Kurt said last Friday, he has a different relationship. He realized he needs to have a different relationship with the budget. It's not his strength, but in order to get where he wants to go, which is early retirement and generational wealth, he needed to, so.
Yeah, no, I think this is a perfect segue now into where we left off in the Net a Million stage in the MREA. As we mentioned last week, there were 16 challenges that you're going to face going from Earn a Million to Net a Million, and we've done the first 14 of them. So I think today we can really kind of close out, this chapter. We're on page 253 right now. I think it's a nice segue with where you were talking about. It's the you section. So we were just talking about you in terms of who is in your world. How are you, insulating yourself from distractions, and how are you looking to grow? So number 15, or at least it says on page 253, time and experience have helped us identify 2 particular areas of personal development that will have a significant impact on your ability to reach greater success. Your ability to maintain your focus on the 20% of your business that matters most, and your ability to maintain some sense of balance in your life so you will always have the energy you need to pursue your goals. So let's talk first about pages 253 to really 256, which is staying focused on your 20%. So, we've talked a lot about, agents can sometimes get stuck in the 80%. So maybe responding to emails and different things that maybe aren't.
Well, we need to identify what the 20 and the 80 are.
Yep.
Because that's the biggest challenge is somebody feels like they're being like, let's talk about that 80-20. We talked about it a while ago in the first section of this book.
Yep.
Pareto's theory, right?
Yep.
It shows up everywhere, and it shows up even stronger in some places. It shows up more like a 95-5 rule or a 90-10 rule. But in general, 20% of your time, 20% of what you focus on is giving you like 80% of your results. Whereas we find people getting stuck in the 80%, and it's the stuff that's not going to actually yield the transaction being closed.
Yeah.
It's stuff that has to happen, maybe not by you, maybe not at all.
Yep.
It's you're one of your favorites, right? Antoinette Perez.
Mm-hmm.
Need to know, nice to know.
Yep.
If I get to it, maybe you'll get to know. I mean, you have to categorize. Is this a need to do? It'd be nice if I could get to do this. This one doesn't have to get done, or somebody else can do it.
Yep.
So.
Well, and with that, I mean, in your 20%, we've talked about leads, listings, and leverage. So when we really look at leads and listings, especially for, single agents who are starting out, or, leads and listings are going to be the 2 things. Lead generation and then focus on getting appointments with sellers are going to be the 2 main focuses that you're going to have as, the bulk of your 20%, at least starting out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And a lot of times, we like to go to the comfortable. We like to go to the things that we enjoy doing. Nobody ever, everything that's worthwhile, put it this way, it's uphill.
Yep.
Everything that's worthwhile is uphill. And so while the downhill activities, yeah, we're crossing them off the list.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you need to look at it like.
Yep.
You're making a 10-point list. Well, only if 2 of them are absolutely going to matter. And that would bring us into a whole nother series that we'll do, which is the one thing. Yeah. And we are still going to do that. And I'm going to tell you how. But so if you looked at that list, I'm just going to give you an example, Matt.
Yep.
Follow up with my sellers. Call 5 new for sale by owners. Make my DTD2 calls, which is inside of your database.
Yep.
Send out the Facebook ad for the new listing.
Yep.
Enter 20 people into my database.
Yep. Fix
my website. Mm-hmm. What is one thing out of that list that is definitely in the top 20?
The 2 that I could say would be the call to 5 for sale by owners, and then the DTD2 list.
Right. And so if you didn't get to fix your website today, is that going to result in potentially not a new customer? I don't know. Maybe somebody would go to your website and realize it's not what it, but the chances are that's not going to deter. Now, if you don't talk to a new person today, there is a chance that you don't have a new client coming in today because you didn't talk to anybody.
Absolutely. Well, and more importantly, I mean, now that we're in the net 1 million stage, the other 3 or 4 things you mentioned really should be done by your support team. Whether that's your marketing assistant, whether that's whoever that is. But some of those, adding 20 people to your database, like once you make your calls and lead generate for the day, if you're handing that person a list of, hey, here were the 20 people I called, now that we're in the net 1 million phase, that's really the job of your administrative assistant to really add in those contacts.
Yeah, and listen, you have had rainmakers that just can't get out of that stuff. And then they want to know why they can't break the 20 million mark or they can't break the 40 million mark. And it's because they still have their hands. Now, their eyes, different story.
Yep.
A once a week meeting on vision and clarity and making sure you have right staff in positions, our leadership team in positions, that's a different story. You needing to be hanging over the admin while they're creating the pieces and telling them what to do, what color to use or what.
Yep.
No.
That's
no.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot. And then people want to know why they can't. I would say, and this is from somebody that challenged me tremendously in business.
Yeah.
I was dead set I had the right person in one of my places.
Yeah.
And great person. Great leverage for me.
Yeah.
And we used to argue, not that person, but this person who told me this about that. Well, she should do this, she should do that. Well, she's doing this, and that. And I was defending, because you know why? I put her in the position. It was my hire there. Yeah. And so I would take offense if that was not the right person because I was liking what she was doing for me.
Yeah.
Well, the one little simple question was, close your eyes and envision the most amazing person in that role.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
Yeah.
And when I started to think about what else could that person do and what else could that person do, I started to realize I needed to coach that person up to that level or let them understand that they were not going to be in my world, long term, if they couldn't get there. Yeah. So he did stretch my mind so that I could really think, what do I want? Not what was I dealt with and this person's a good person and they're doing this and that. What am I looking for to leverage me? So I would just challenge some of those people that are listening saying, no, I have to do this. Or, well, my admin, they do it to this point, but I have to do it to this point. Well, then you might not have the 100% perfect right person in that role.
Well, and the other thing that I just want to say that I think would be that it's a good exercise when we're looking at page 255, 256, and 257 and 258, actually. There's 2 ways to look at this. it's very important that you have a calendar that reflects what your 20% is and that you're sticking to it. So one thing, one person that I really learned this really well from was Julie Julie Costa from Morristown. She was huge on colors, like color coding things. So for her, she would have her calendar out, and like anything that was highlighted in pink were things that she absolutely had to do, whether that was do the lead generation or going on at least 2 appointments in the afternoon, and having 2 conversations with 2 people that she hasn't met. So the things that were in pink, because pink was her favorite color, was the things that had to get done. The green were the things that was like, well, if I get it done today, that's great. But if something else comes up and I need to do it, the pink were the ones that absolutely had to get done. So she had 2 or 3 different colors. And I would recommend, whether you're an individual agent, do something similar. Make sure that your lead gen and that your listing-based activities are in the pink if you're using color-coded, like I was just saying, or have your admin who is creating your schedule for the next day that's saying you need to make these calls or has the calendar set up, make sure he or she is highlighting this is your 20%. No matter what, if nothing else gets done tomorrow, those things have to get done. And so either way, that's the balance that you need to kind of look at and say, okay, you need to have your calendar really fine-tuned in a way that you get stuff done.
Well, and like you said, we're talking about the net 1 million.
Yep.
This would be an activity that I would suggest for a rainmaker to give to your director of ops or lead coordinator, somebody that's holding the agents accountable.
Yep.
If they're coming to you feeling a little lost, or like they have them start to, or they're not being as productive as they would like, or you feel they're not being as productive, I would give them the task of, guys, we're going to try this, myself included, for this next week. Yep. We're going to jot down what we do every hour. Yep. Just every hour. I'm going to set up like a Google reminder or something, or Google reminder would work. And every hour, I just want you to just jot right down in your notes on your phone somewhere, what'd you do for that hour. I'm not saying you're not doing anything. I'm saying let's do an assessment. Let's take a look. Yep. Let's be the doctor of this. We're going to prescribe something. We need to see what the malfunction is, and we need to diagnose it. Yeah. You can't just say, well, Matt, you need to make more calls. Yeah. Well, maybe Matt's making a whole bunch of calls. Mm-hmm. Matt's tonality's off. Matt's scripts are wrong. Matt's calling into a neighborhood that nobody's selling. Yep. I mean, so what I would really suggest is, if we're intending to be more purposeful in our business, in our life, just do that activity, even if it's a few days. But I do suggest a full week where you're writing down what you're really doing every hour. Yeah. And it will be very eye-opening to see how much time you can get back in your calendar, how much time you waste, and maybe how much time you're not spending with family, or maybe that's running you down. Well, and I think that's a perfect way to move to the last one, which is number 16 on page 259, counterbalancing your life to maintain your energy at a high level. So you're right. Maybe you're not focusing enough time on your family. Maybe you're not focusing enough time on hobbies or other interests. And I think that, when we're looking at this, sometimes the mega agents go to that point where they're like work, and then they get so burnt out that it's like they shut down for like a week, and or they just get burnt out and the quality of, correct. One thing that I heard at a family reunion session, and Sean Annan had actually brought this up to me, and I thought it was great, was he was in a class where it might have even been Jay Papasan, because it sounds like something that Jay would say, was to schedule your burnouts. Like, look at today, see where, whether it's 30 days from now, 45 days from now, when do you start feeling burnt out, and mark it. And then take like a 3-day long weekend, then do that activity again and see, is it 45 days? Is it 60 days? You'll start to learn your body's capacity for doing what needs to be done at a high level before reaching that burnout point. So you can start to schedule when you'll be most likely burnt out and be able to proactively prepare around that. Yeah, so I was in a class with Mike Bastian, who's amazing,
Mm-hmm.
brilliant financial operations mind. My first team leader class in Texas in 2008 was with Rick Jiha, and then the other class was Mike Bastian. And Mike Bastian taught on the 411. And so he taught exactly what you're talking about, color coding and planning your burnout. But what he said, and as a team leader, I look at myself as a mega agent. Matt and I are running a mega agent team. We're called Keller Williams Prosperity. We have 157 agents, and we have buyers and sellers. Okay, so, and we have an admin core, and that's how I look at it. So what Mike said was, every month you should have a 3-day weekend. Every month have 1 3-day weekend. Every quarter have a week off.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I guess what you would look at is you got to get to that point where you earn that.
Yep.
And whether you're working for someone, in our case, we work for the company. Yep. Or if you are the mega agent, you're working for someone, you're working for your company, basically. So let's just take somebody like Teresa Forte.
Yep.
Teresa Forte Greenberg. It's the Greenberg Properties Group. Teresa still works for them, even though it's her. She's also the owner, but she also still works for them.
Yeah.
Right. So when we take a look at that, you say, okay, well, I'm the rainmaker still in my business, so I still work for myself. What do I have to hit to give me that 4 weeks of vacation a year?
Yeah.
Okay, well, every quarter I have to hit this many in order to give myself that week off.
Yeah.
And and so maybe you're a quarter behind because you're making plans. But hey, we should, because the whole point is to enjoy the life that we are creating, right? I want to read this. It says, and on page 259, the idea of having a balanced life is actually more idealistic than it is practical.
Yeah.
I found that it's healthier to attempt to lead a counterbalanced life, where the issue isn't that you've gotten out of balance, but how long will you stay there for?
I've got that highlighted too.
And then a few sentences later, it says, the ruling factor of living a counterbalanced life is to allow imbalance when key goals are at stake. Okay, and that means that if you have a goal and it's full throttle, 100% all on,
yep,
you don't go, well, yeah, but Mary Beth said it's a quarterly vacation I'm supposed to take, so yep, gotta take it. No, that's not what you do. You push through. You forget about that week off because you're close to goal, and then when you hit it, give yourself 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay, yep. So that so that's what it's telling you. It's not telling you forget, skip over it. It's just saying that when key goals are at stake, you're gonna stay in it, but do not dwell in that state for too long.
Yeah.
And then we get comfortable because we feel purposeful. We feel like we're doing something.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you allow yourself to live in imbalance for too long, you cannot maintain your energy and you risk burnout.
Yeah.
The last sentence of this section on 261 says, please, when you see a successful person who appears balanced, please realize it's an illusion. What you're seeing that appears to be balanced is really fast and timely counterbalance.
Yeah.
Counterbalancing done this way is just as healthy and fulfilling as the so-called balanced life.
I love that. I had that highlighted too, and I think that's a good place to end on for this chapter. I think we covered a lot today. That really ends the Net a Million section. So tomorrow we'll be back here at 11, and we'll be doing the Receive a Million section on page 263. So just quickly, at 1 o'clock, we'll be having our conversation with Nick Marinowski today. So we'll be back here in about an hour and a half. And then tomorrow we have this call at 11 a.m., which will, like I said, be transitioning to Receive a Million. And tomorrow at 12, you and I will be interviewing Ron Iosa and Bill Boswell to just talk about their business and, how it grew from day one to now being here at KW.
Yeah, and really, they're gonna, if you tune in for that, because two brilliant minds, very different people, same heart and vision for the company, total alignment. You're going to be blown away by their story, and you're going to see why KW Prosperity honestly is positioned to be one of the best Keller Williams in the entire region this year.
I can't wait. All right. Well, I will see you in about an hour and a half.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.